We're back, fellas. Part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We made it.
Return of the vloggers.
And that part's been a little fun, you know.
Yeah.
Because I watch videos like, what do you name your YouTube videos? And it's like, you should probably name it something searchable, but that's not what we did at all for this. So it's just pretty much like, here it is, number 1.
We're having fun. We'll worry about that once we iron out all the wrinkles.
Yeah, we're still learning, right? It's we're still kind of rookie video vloggers or whatever, but the point is that we're taking action, right? We're going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked a little bit between the last time and this time, I guess, with you guys about what are we doing with this vlog, because it can't just be all about like our schedules and just us chatting. Like we need to think about like what kind of value we provide for people that tune into this. So
right.
I think moving forward, probably have to think about that a little bit. Like we're all professional artists that have something to offer. We've been working in the industry on many different creative levels. So we want to share that knowledge with people that may either be up and coming or maybe want to switch careers. And not so much that we're like an authority on anything, but more so I think that we've got a lot of experience to share. So we also talked about like the kind of length of these videos. I can't remember if we talked about that last time, but I think it was on our points to talk about. But the editing length, like we were playing around with the last video. Dwight did some fun editing to the last video, and I think that was really a good step in the right direction for like what we're trying to do. Although it's kind of a hybrid. It's not like we're doing like, hey, this is a how-to video, so we should put some slick editing into it. It's still very conversational, which I think sometimes can go on and on,
Yeah. Just trying to keep it fun and try to keep it light and keep it moving forward. So but the editing, one of the things we found out is that the editing kind of took a long time. It made me not want to really do another set of edits. So I think for the time being, we kind of tried to keep like almost like the Joe Rogan format, right? So you just kind of do a raw cut as even if it's like super long, right? It'll be long, and then
4 hours of us,
right?
Right. Although none of us are quite as compelling as Mike Tyson or somebody like that, right? But we got something to offer, right? So instead, we if we needed to, we can do like smaller cuts, something that we can put on our social media or on our own websites, and we can chop it up, and then if there's something like really compelling, right?
Right.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, one thing on the edit, one thing that I thought was really great, and even though it's less raw, like some of these conversational videos, like more interview type videos, like editing out the spaces between, pauses and that kind of stuff, I think really brought some life into it. So it's, I think, being a kind of a hybrid of somewhere in between a very edited piece and just like turn the camera on and run, I think might be a good model for this.
Oh, speaking of, maybe we should always start in a similar way and going like, hi, I'm Dwight Williamson.
My name is Tim Kafantaris, animator, also a Libra. Dwight got the Spider-Man cup. I love it.
Oh, Spidey. You're going to see Spidey in my life quite a bit.
I'm rocking the U of M.
Yeah. And last but not least, what is your name, good sir?
My name is John Bowling. I'm an artist. Yeah, I know. I agree. Like we should probably have like a set tagline that just rolls off our tongue. We don't really have it set up, but we'll get that timing down. It's like, I'm Dwight, I'm Tim, I'm John, and we are
creative.
The Three Amigos.
Story tropes.
I like it.
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so are we going to start posting like this video? Is it going to go right to that YouTube channel? Or are
Yep.
we okay, cool.
Yep. I'm uploading. I'm streaming right now.
Hit that notification bell,
Right.
subscribe,
Share.
comment, share with your friends,
Yeah.
Say
buy our
something like,
merch,
"We finally
Gum
show
Road.
artwork."
Right. Comment in the
Link to the Gum Road right down below.
Right. Leave suggestions in the comments. Like, dislike. Give us some feedback. Whatever.
Actually, yeah, feedback would be great, especially once we get the ball rolling and figure out what the viewership will want to see.
Mhm.
You know.
So,
All right.
since the last time we chatted, and what have you been able to get going?
All right. I'll start with Hidden Falls. Still work on story. I still want to wrap it up by end of this month. I had this interesting thing happen. I ended up talking to my boss, owner of the studio, and I was kind of telling him about the story, and he said, "Stop focusing on the story and worry about the characters. Why
Ooh.
are we with this character? Why do we care about this character?
Yeah.
Why are we still watching the Simpsons after all this time?" And I didn't really have a good answer, but hopefully, right now I'm working on the characters, and it's funny when you work on the characters, the story really kind of comes together just from filling in those points of the character, the arcs, what they're carrying with them, their background, all that stuff. So I'm feeling really good. I still have a couple points to hit, but I'm still aiming for end this month. I got a little sidetrack with work. We got a little overtime, but it's gonna happen. So besides that, the Gumroad is done. I gotta promote
Woo!
that. Yeah. The website is done. I am going to make one update on it. Right now, I have like a mailing list, and I want to have it a little different than how it is now. I want to have like a little pop up instead of clicking it, adding your name. I actually want to have it pop up, and then you can put in your information. Just seems a little bit more slick like that. The children's book, Stanley Sticks His Neck Out, that's done. I just got to build it in InDesign. That way everything's looking good. I can get the page spreads and crops ready, which basically is the spreads are both pages of the book when you open it up.
Nice.
And crops would be for the printer to cut the bleeds and whatnot, the margins. So that's going good. I want to wrap that up soon. Like I said, the overtime kind of got in the way, but I started building the file tonight, and seems like everything's coming along really good. So I definitely want to have that done by next meeting, or I will have it done. Really want to have it done this week, but and I'm still keeping up with the Instagram weekly sketch. Just something I try to do at least once a week, just to put something out there that feels good.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you had a few images of like, oh man, it's not even Inktober, but he's consistently posting. That's awesome.
You know, it's fun. I definitely want to keep going. But then I was listening to Chris Oatley, the Oats.
Yeah.
He mentioned in this latest podcast, like cleaning up your social media. Like if every once in a while going through your social media, and if you see posts that you're not happy with, maybe take it down.
Right. That makes sense because we grow as an artist, and like if you never go back and revisit your stuff, it's like, oh man, I did that so long ago and I've grown. Yeah.
Right.
It's
With
good.
Inktober, it's like a little tricky because it's like, well, that's the whole month. I like to have that body of work ready to go. But at the same time, it's like there's some of those. You guys, we talked about it, but really, I started those before work, and then when I had to leave for work was the cutoff date or time. So no matter how happy I was or not happy, that's what was posted that day. There's actually a lot of good information on that YouTube video. If you guys check it out, maybe we'll throw a link below.
Yeah, what's the name of the video?
I have to find out.
Chris Oatley. Is this the 11 social media habits that hurt your art career?
Yeah, I think so.
Yo, I looked at that one. That's a really great resource. All right.
Yeah. That's really it for me. Next month, or for the next meeting, I really, like I said, get the book done. I want to get the story done and the script, and just keep going with everything. Yeah, so it was a good month. still staying busy, and really, I just want to keep going.
Yeah, you always inspire me, Tim. Like these Instagram drawings, it's like, man, Tim's doing it. I feel like you've got such a hard work ethic, and sometimes I get caught up and bogged down by life, and I'm like, man, I do need to strive to put out some more stuff.
Yeah.
And not only that, but just keep your, like I said before, keep your pencil sharp. Just
Right.
It's a hard thing to do.
So you can't. I'm not gonna let you kick yourself in the butt too hard this time, because you were busy this between last time and this time. You did keep your pencil moving. Do you want to go this time? You can.
Yeah, that's a good segue, I guess. So yeah, I feel a little bit defeated because I set a bunch of goals, and most of them didn't really happen. But not to make excuses, I do feel like there's some kind of good reason for that. So one thing I wanted to do was consistently do some concept art for my book, Yeshuo, and I didn't really do that. But the point of that was, or at least the idea when I first set that goal, was to constantly keep my drawing fresh, because it's almost like if you don't use it, you get a little rusty. And I felt like I grew so much last October, just constantly putting out work in such a short period of time. So, but it's not that I didn't do any work. I ended up picking up some freelance work, which was really great. I haven't been actively looking for freelance, but I just had a few things fall in my lap, and I was like, well, these aren't super big projects where it's gonna, keep me busy for months, or I'm gonna have to like overcommit. So I decided to take them. One of them was a friend of mine who I met when I was working at Maxstar Studio, which was kind of a small startup film studio in Michigan. Back in, I guess it was around 2010, 2011, that time. This guy, Lee Ellers, was a writer there on staff. And we just really hit it off. We love talking about movies and story structure, and he's like a phenomenal writer, and he really appreciated my art. And so we've been wanting to do some kind of a collaboration for a while. And for a few times he had helped me with writing and story structure for Yeshuo, even though I think I still had to do some growing and figure out what my story's about. So ultimately what I realized was that I have to be the one that writes the story, because it lives in my brain, and just bring in another writer who has no idea what this idea is just doesn't work. So even though I don't really consider myself as a writer, I sort of have to be if I want to make this vision come to life. So anyways, I say all that just to introduce Lee. And Lee had worked on a short film that just, I guess, was getting ready to premiere, and he was out in California. And one of the actors in the short film, I think he played some kind of a mercenary in the film, but he is, according to Lee, a real life badass, and he was a U.S. Marine, and so it wasn't too much of a jump from who this guy is to play this mercenary. So he really wanted to do some kind of a thank you gift for him to being a part of the job, to take his character and his real life, who this guy is in real life, and turn it into a piece of comic book art, as if it was like a cover on a comic book. And I was like, oh, this is great, because it's not like a full-on comic project where we have to do the story and all this stuff. I can actually just do a quick one-off. And it's something I wanted to do with Yeshuo for a while too, and like just kind of thinking about what looks cool on a cover of a comic.
Yeah.
So I want to share my screen with you guys, so people who are viewing can look at some art, and maybe we can talk a little bit about it. I don't want to take up too much time, but I thought it was kind of a fun project to do. Let's see here. I think it's this. You guys see this?
Nice.
Woo!
Keith Higgins, All That Is Man. So some of the direction that that Lee gave me was he wanted this dude to look big and masculine and over the top, and there's the military theme and all that. But he wanted to have kind of a likeness of who this guy was, and in real life, he's got a Chihuahua, a pet Chihuahua. So I wanted to include that into it, and it's kind of cool, you know. I thought a lot about Guardians of the Galaxy and Rocket Raccoon on the back of Groot, kind of a thing. Like this guy would ride around with him, but he's also, you know, sort of anthropomorphized, which is a lot about kind of how Yeshua is dealing with animal characters. So I love the whole idea of it. I wanted to include in some of his personal, you know, his tattoos that he really has in real life. And so the thing with this, though, is that there was such a quick turnaround because he was meeting with the guy, and you know, he didn't really have a ton of time because he was out in California to like connect. So I only had a few days to do this, and I'm also working my day job, so you know, I can't really take time off of work to do a project like this. So I just basically had to crank it throughout the night. And my wife was really supportive and just allowed me to work, and she took care of the kids. So like, it was kind of a process to juggle those kind of things. Like, you know, I had to take a couple of days just to think about the framing and the concept of it and what I was going to lay out, and then the execution of the drawing, and then the comic book page treatment. You know, we're all kind of different steps. And because it had such a tight time restraint, I was like, well, I'm just going to try to get the big pieces that matter, like the likeness of this guy's face and like the overall image of like a big masculine character. And really the things that suffered most was, you know, the background and that sort of thing. And I didn't have time to color it. And that would have been something, you know, to put a little bit of like lighting treatment. So some things were ended up sacrificing just in order to like meet the deadline. So, so what do you guys think about this? What are your first impressions? Or
I love the line quality. I've always loved your line quality. I was just impressed at how technical the gun stuff and the character stuff is. All of the little extras, it gives it a lot of personality, like the tattoos, like the wrench, like the grenade, the mangled dudes under there, you know. And I've always loved your logo and just the font of the of you know, the title, you know. Overall, this is really, hold on, let me see if I can kind of make it so we can keep looking at your stuff. Just really love that. I love all of the little details. It just really makes it just a joy to look at. I appreciate that you put like that texture in the back, right behind where all of that kind of smoke and stuff is, and that you took some time to do some halftones and stuff in there to just kind of break out the you know, the look, you know, so you could do some forward, middle, and background. I love that you make your darkest darks, you know, some of your gun, maybe that glove, that hand, you know. Just, you made some really wise decisions, in my opinion, on just kind of how to you know, to make this all come together. Yeah. Especially the time that you used, you know, that you had to do it. I think this turned out exceptionally well.
yeah, initially I had just a black and white line art drawing, which was fine, but for me, I was like, I think it could be more than that, and I don't have any time to do any color. So yeah, I was like, well, a textured background, you can get a lot of bang for your buck doing that. And also, as just pure line art, some of the forms get lost. So yeah, that was my thought, and bringing some tonality into it, just to kind of separate like skin tone from clothing, from, you know, even the background is sort of dark, and I wanted him to be lit and more, you know, there's not a ton of detail in it, and it was sort of sloppily drawn and like really quick to do the carnage at his feet. So I was like, I'll push that a little bit darker. And you know, I wanted to also take time to put more weapons and equipment on him, and I was just like, I just don't have the time to do that. So
It's really kind of like what Dwight was saying, that the line quality is really great, and it's kind of it's a nice mix between like realistic and stylized. And that Chihuahua is such a John Bowling animal drawing. I love it. Like I don't know how to explain it, but
Yeah.
when I look at that, I'm like, that's John Bowling drawing. You know?
Yeah.
And you showed me a photo of the guy, and it was pretty accurate.
Oh, I
as
wish I
well,
had that pulled up. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So overall, I think a mission accomplished with it. You know.
But even with the proportions of the body, you know, like having these huge shoulders and the smaller head, it's kind of like I get a lot of that from Mike Wynn, who's notorious for massive characters.
Yeah.
There's certain things and pushing and pulling the proportions that can give you like a big look. I sort of did that with his face as well by sort of accenting his jaw, making his jaw a little bit bigger, but still keeping the essence of like the guy's head and face, so it's recognizable.
Yeah.
Especially the hands turn out really nice too. Hands and feet are so hard to draw that a lot of people just hide them.
Yeah, and I didn't intentionally try to hide feet because I can draw feet. But as I was framing it up, I was like, I kind of like his upper body to be front and center and that big and
right. It works, man. And that's a good thing. Like that's a strong pose, and like the drawing itself just demands your attention. The way you framed it, it's like you're going to look at this guy. You're going to look at his overall figure, but then you're going to go right to the eyes, and then the gun, you know, and the chihuahua. But
I know it started to get a little Rob Liefeld to me a little bit, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to. I can't be having like katanas coming off his back and like like pouches on top of pouches, but it did make me think of that a little bit. So anyway, that's that. I guess that's enough talking about that, but it was fun. It was great to do some comic art. It was even refreshing for me to do a human character. Let's see, there we go. And to just keep my pencil moving and do some work. So I did pick up another freelance gig, and what I started to realize is that my home equipment really hasn't been set up for me to jump into production on Yeshuo. So even though another thing was I wanted to finish the script by the end of last month, which didn't happen, even though I did work on it, I got a little bit further, but doing these freelance projects definitely takes time. I only have about an hour or two at most in the evening to work on my stuff. By the time I do my day job and I put the kids to bed and I visit with my wife for a little bit, and then I've got to go to bed at a reasonable hour because the kids wake up so early. So it's this vicious cycle. So my books ended up suffering, even though that's sort of my priority. But I realized I needed some equipment, and so by picking up some freelance work, allowed me to make a little bit more money that I can sink back into my stuff. And I talked to you guys a little bit about wanting to get a desktop computer, but also the last couple of freelance gigs I did was I utilized a friend of mine had an iPad Pro, and which had Procreate. Man, I really enjoyed that. And so I'm like, well, maybe I need to get a tablet so that I can continue doing drawing like this. But my desktop computer is pretty ancient, and I did run into some issues with the tablet and not really being able to connect to my desktop. If for whatever reason my Wi-Fi is down in my house, I was having trouble uploading the line drawing to Photoshop on my desktop to be able to like work. So that could be detrimental if I'm on a tight deadline and I can't manage files that way. So even though I love that Apple iPad, I'm almost thinking that a Cintiq, which would be pretty comparable in price, might actually be the way to go to avoid that, because everything is like connected. I mean, it's essentially a monitor, right? So I've been thinking about that too. Like, maybe I shouldn't try to be too ambitious with the goals that I set in writing and doing art, and start to lay the foundations of creating my workspace still. which involves like updating my equipment. So, so sort of the last point I wanted to mention was, how do I fund these things? Because I have a family budget, and we've got to pay for preschool, and we've got to, buy groceries, and there's certain things in our family budget that I don't really I can't steal away from my kids and activities in order to do this project. So maybe I need to find other ways to fund it that doesn't impact, like if I'm going to drop $1,000 or more on a desktop, or $1,000 on a tablet or a Cintiq or something like that. I need to get a better desk so that my workspace in my office is better. So all this stuff is costing like large amounts of money that I can't just pull out of my family budget. So I've really, within the last few days, have been considering starting up a Patreon page to get a little crowdfunding, perhaps, if somebody wants to get behind and support me in making this book, because that would be huge if I can get the equipment that I need to work. I can get this book out sooner and start, really cranking on these books. But I'll probably end up picking up some more freelance work, even though it sort of takes away from building doing the book, so that I can fund it that way too. And then selling stuff too, like Dave Ramsey, he talks about start selling the stuff around your house that, you're not using, you don't need, and sell so much stuff that, your kids think that they're next. And my wife's really good about that. It's like, man, where did that shirt go? I love that shirt. I sold it. What? It's like, dang it. Where's my backpack? No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah, I was so I had like an old juicer that, Dwight, I talked to you about juicing stuff a while back, but I just haven't been juicing. And like, this has some value that I think that I would rather sink that value into doing this project and if I'm going to juice later, I'll figure that out. But
there's also the Wacom mobile studio. In my opinion, it's not really that mobile because you have a whole bunch of stuff you have to take with you, but it's a computer and a tablet. So that's just another option.
Yeah.
So could be best of both worlds, because you're saying you need a tower, but then you also need a Cintiq. Depending on what kind of freelance you're doing, you might not need that much power if it's just like Photoshop. If you're doing like After Effects or 3D modeling, then that's another thing. But
yeah, that's part of my plan, is to utilize my skills in 3D to set up some of the scenes when the production starts for my comic book. So I feel like I'm going to be bouncing back and forth, but I do love like the mobility of the tablet. Like I can go up. I'm not totally locked down to my studio. I can sit in front of the TV and draw, or draw like while I'm out and about or something. So I don't know, some decisions I got to figure out, but other than that, I think I'm going to still try to shoot to get my script done by the end of March. I got to keep setting a goal, even if it's going to be difficult to do. But so that's kind of like my next push. I got to finish that script off. So if freelance work comes my way, I'll probably pick some more of it up. But otherwise, that's my primary thing, and probably set up a Patreon page.
Nice.
Some other kind of crowdfunding I got to look into.
Is that when you say your script, is that the whole book, or is that a single issue?
That would be book one.
Okay.
So I picture a multi-book series.
Right.
But at least that's how like the story is kind of being set up. But I want book one to be its standalone thing, and within that, probably about 5 issues. So when I go into production, I'm probably going to focus on just get issue 1 done. It's going to be 1/5 of the book. But the script, I want book 1 to be like, even if it's not super detailed, I just want it to be like, here's a coherent story. You can see the arc of the characters happening. You can, everything fits and makes sense, more or less, of a working story. So, it'll be sort of an outline format. I don't see it being like written out in detail. Some of that stuff I imagine I'll work out by the time I start drawing the pages. So So anyway, that's it, man. I want to toss the mic over to Dwight and find out what he's got going, because seems like you got a lot of stuff in the works.
Yeah. Wow. Both of you guys, hard act to follow. Really cool stuff. One of my main things I was supposed to drop my phone. One of the main things I was supposed to do was to get working on my main stories, which is like Double Blessing, which is kind of like a comic strip, Twins Tales, which is a bit of a children's book, and High Speed Waffle Man, which is ultimately supposed to be animated, but it's like kind of like a comic book, comic strip, web thing, which was really cool. But I kind of realized, kind of somewhere in between what you were talking about, Tim, and kind of what you were talking about, John, is that I needed to kind of get my, and Chris Oatley for that matter, needed to get my web identity together. If we looked at the old videos that we were doing, I was the only one that didn't have like a URL for my own website. So I just was like, you know what, it's time to get it going and get my website going. So I checked out a few places, and I really have just been deciding not to be so hard on myself and just be like, stuff doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I really need to make some steps to just make some concrete decisions and get some stuff going. So I got a Wix site, and I bought my URL and everything, and I just kind of studied a little bit about that. And I found one that's really good, which is dw2art.com, which is like shorter than DW2 Art Productions, right? That used to be my website a long time ago when I was in college, and it just happened to still be available. So I tried to, I kind of redesigned kind of like my logo to be circular, and it kind of starts out as like kind of a square that like DW2 kind of stamp. So I started by rebranding and putting that on my Instagram, changed my Instagram name to DW2 Art Productions from the Ditto thing. And then I kind of moved that to some of my other platforms and whatnot. So that started to unify everything. In turn, I put that on my YouTube page as well. So my YouTube page, I kind of created a banner for that, and got the DW2 Art Productions thing. So if you ever go to my my website, the main three things that they wanted to have on there is you kind of have your header, you kind of have your like some main images that you kind of want to put up. So I threw up some of my Inktober stuff. There's like a blog beneath. So the first post is just kind of, you know, like welcome to my blog type stuff. The second one is kind of like I guess I don't remember if it was Inktober or not. Maybe it was a Comic-Con. And then I put like some videos and stuff from 2018's Comic-Con, right? Some of the videos with me and you in it, Tim.
Yeah, I see that.
And then last but not least, it'll be this video, like these videos that we're doing with the Creative Jam sessions. The whole point that I decided that my website would be is to be a platform for me to launch all of the things that I'm doing. It is the centerpiece for all of the things that I'm working on, whether it be my my social media, whatever videos that I'm doing, whatever projects I got going on. If I'm going to comic conventions, if I'm doing my my projects, this is the central place for all of that to be accessed. And so I almost launched my Gumroad and started doing my my art book, but I just kind of realized that that's also a pay thing. Like I have to pay, you know, kind of a monthly fee for my my Gumroad thing. And then I started studying some artists who had theirs out, just so I could figure out the price on it. And dude, one of these artists is so good, and he's throwing out just bomb sketchbooks, put them out for $1. And so that put me in this mindset that I was like, maybe I can collect some of my unfinished kind of stuff, my progress work, and put it out for like a low price, you know what I mean? And I can sell my finished art books, you know, the physical copies for the higher price and my digital ones for the low price. And the point of that is so that I can, like what you said, John, be bringing in some form of income. Anything that's like $1, it's almost like there's no excuse not to buy it. Like whoever it is, if it's $1, I'll buy 20 of those. I'll buy yours. And anytime I drop like a sketchbook, I bet I could sell it. You know what I mean? If it's something as low as $1. So I'd rather make $51 sales than only make, you know, 2 $5 sales, right? So I think I think I'd be better off, or maybe, you know, 2 $10 sales or 2 $3, and people like, I want it, but I don't know you, and it's $10. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's my approach, you know, and then maybe some word of mouth that happen, and so once again, it's all cyclical, right? Like if I've got like my social media that points to my website, which points to my Gumroad, you know, then I can pimp all my stuff all throughout this. It all works. So I think that's my method that I'm gonna continue to push. So I got a buddy who invited. He's going to like 8 Comic Cons this year, right? Which is just embarrassing to me. I feel like so my next step is, what do I do? Like I need to have a product so that I can get to Comic-Con. But before I have the product, I need to have a place for people to go to after they like my stuff and say, dude, where are you going to do some more stuff? So I think this is the proper order of operations. Let me get my branding, let me get my website, let me set it up properly, then I can produce a product, then I can go to a convention, and then the cycle repeats. So I think that is sensible for kind of how I want to go forward. I did my taxes recently, and I just thought about doing my business taxes for the first time. Just kind of, I got a lot of insight on kind of how to approach next year's push for how I look at my artwork. Anything under $600 is almost not even worth dealing with. It offsets my sales versus my income. It almost hurt me tax-wise, you know, without doing that. So, you know, what I made off of Comic-Con and just kind of a couple basic freelances, it was less than $300. It just didn't really seem like it was a benefit to kind of go that route just yet this year. Plus, I spent more than $300 just on all of my stuff. Right. So I don't think it, you know, just on like my random equipment and subscriptions and, you know, different things. So it didn't make sense to try to write it off. I just decided I broke even and just paid out of my pocket. And so I've been kind of I've been stashing some loot away, you know, just to try to get ready to open up a business account. And I'm at about $200. I want to get to about 500 before I can kind of open it. And you know, once again, it's just about organization. I'm just trying to handle my business so I can conduct business, right? So that's briefly what I've been up to. You know, while I was trying to get my taxes stuff together, I found myself organizing all of my stuff, like all of my artwork, in ways that now I kind of understand where everything is. I've been using Microsoft's like OneNote to organize all of my kind of digital information, and then I can kind of put like pictures and stuff. So I've kind of got a very organized breakdown of kind of how all of my stories and concepts are break. So I'm ready to launch into the next thing. And last but not least, I would say that I've been finding kind of like my sleep schedule has changed, right? Like after I get off of work, I kind of do one thing and then I just go to bed, probably about 7 o'clock. And for some reason, I wake up at about 2 or 3, sometimes 4. in that period between about 4 o'clock and maybe 6 or 7 before I have to go to work, I'm super productive. Like I've found myself being able to get a lot of stuff done finally. And even if I want to work out or go to the gym or do something like that, I have like some time, and I've got like a cutoff. I think the problem with me at night is I just work and then I don't have a cutoff. Then it's 2 in the morning, and then I'm torn to bits by the time it's time to go to work. And I'm like, time to go to bed. And then I'll go to sleep for 1 hour, wake up, and I have a bad cycle, and then it makes me want to skip the next day of doing my work, my artwork. So since I go to bed at a bizarre time and wake up at a bizarre time, I actually have like about 4 hours that I really get. It's been very effective. I've slept more than I have in a while, and I've been able to get a lot more done than I have in a while. So anyhow, that's what's been going on with me. I've been going, and for the sake of time, that'll be all I'll say about that. But I'm really proud of all that stuff that you guys have been doing, man. It's real impressive, man. It's real impressive.
You should show the website.
Oh yeah.
And I forgot to show my pages too. So why don't you?
I'll edit it in, man. You just guys gotta just set me up with links. You set me up with some links to your stuff, and I'll edit it in. We got about 8 minutes left, so I would like for us to kind of have a quick discussion about what we're gonna do going forward for March and April. If we're gonna do this again, next month, what are we looking like?
Yeah, those next deadlines when we do these things, I feel the pressure. It's like, oh man, I gotta we're gonna be on air, and I need to have something to show for it. So yeah, I think it's good.
Same here. I felt absolutely mortified last time. I was like, no, I gotta have something to show this time.
Yeah. So what do you think, Tim? Where do you want to be in a month with your projects and stuff?
So I want the book to be shipped.
Nice.
Ship it.
Yeah, and Lauren will have it, and then she can.
So when you're talking about book, you're talking about your children's book,
so the children book, Stanley Sticks His Neck Out. That I want done, which actually I want to finish it this week. I want to keep going with the weekly Instagram post, and then as far as Hidden Falls go, I would love to have the first script done. And when I say first script, that would be issue 1, because I'm not sure how many issues it's going to be, but issue 1.
I sort of really would like for us to, I don't know, even if I don't know if you want to spoil the book, but I'd love to kind of get a page.
Yeah, I can show you right now. Actually,
not yet.
Okay.
But if we do a special next time and say, hey, I finally got the book finished.
Yeah.
Here's the cover, and then you can kind of talk to, because I've always wanted to make books. I'm excited about the stuff that happens in the inside, all of the credits and all of the UPC and all of the the publishing stuff. That's interesting to me. So I will shut up, but I would like to see more of that in the future.
Sure, man. That's what this is for, to show and tell.
Yeah.
Tell the secrets of our processes and inspire.
That's
inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how about you guys?
For me, my next thing is to kind of lay out a page for whatever format that I'm gonna do for my public consumption. I kind of want to have something on my website, but I've also been looking at webtoons. So I kind of want to set something up so that I can start showing my some finished work, and then start pointing to a place where I'm going to consistently put out my finished product. I'll have to make a decision, but if nothing else, I want to just have a layout where I can kind of so I got to study the webtoons layout thing, or I got to kind of see if I have to provide some HTML for my website, and just start to get that going, and then just do thumbnails of kind of my work so that I can see really where this is going. I think I can do that and have that decided and some roughs of what that's going to look like by the time we get to the next meeting. I think that's totally rational, and I'd like to potentially go further, but that's minimal of what I want to do. I also want to begin posting kind of regularly on my social media, because now that I have that set up, you know, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly. And I've been thinking about whether it's like media, which is this kind of stuff, vlog, you know, video, you know, some old stuff, some sketches, photos, finished works, maybe even some polls, right? Like, and then just kind of some ideas, some things that I just want to not be so afraid about posting some stuff that I'm not completely confident about. I'm just like, hey, here's some ideas I got. You know, tell me what you guys think. Should I go this way? You know, like I might post 2 pictures and be like, this design or this design, and then just kind of get some feedback, you know, on Instagram, because you can do that kind of thing with like, you know, like polls and choices, and people can pick a box or whatever. So if I can get 100 subscribers on YouTube, I can get a unique name on my YouTube page. So so that's something I'm kind of aiming for. I got 89, so I'm close. So that's a kind of a goal for me too. So those are the things I want to do by, like you said, like March 30th. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned what I'm trying to do for next time, and trying to keep it simple and just finish this script off. I'm pretty close. I mean, I think I know where the story's going, and just thinking in terms of you know, working to publish and not just working for myself. You know, I want to really get this out there. So even though the story may not be totally perfect and flawless in my mind, like if it's a working story, I'm going to run with it, and, you know, and get a book out there, because I just got to make it happen. And then, yeah, I'm going to look into some crowdfunding just to kind of throw out there and set it up. Because I think it's good too, you know, if I get that established, not only would it help me to keep moving things forward if people believe in my my idea and stuff, but like you said, when the next time I go to Comic-Con, just to have that a stronger online presence, that I can direct people like, hey, you can support me here, or, you know, I think eventually having some online merchandise too, selling sketchbooks, or even just one-off character prints. Sometimes people like that for wall art and that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I just had two basic goals, and hopefully I can meet those 2 goals by the next time we show up.
Nice.
Totally possible. Totally possible.
So 3 months deep, 3 videos deep.
I know, right?
2019.
Yeah.
Awesome. Moving right along.
I think we're off to a good start, fellas.
And 1 minute to spare before.
I know. How is this possible? Well done.
Nice. I know.
We're already achieving our goals.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. It's good seeing you guys again on here.
Yeah, you guys too.
So we gotta get the edited film from the last one up. I don't know. Did you post it, or
no? I think that's going to be the next thing. Now we can probably talk about this offline, but I wanted to just get the green light. Are we ready to start posting these bad boys? We can.
Yeah, there's already been some interest. I mean, people at work are like, "Yeah, I'll watch your show every time." You know, people are interested in what we're doing, and I don't know. Hopefully, it's inspiring to people. That's really what I hope. Like, people can be inspired. Like, because I think there's so many artists out there that are like, "Oh, if I had a creative passion project," like maybe they have some idea about what to do, but they're just discouraged. Like, I could never do that. And so it's just a pipe dream. They have all this negative self-talk. I've been so inspired by you guys and by other artists that have just been like, you know what, I'm going to run with my passion project, and I'm going to just be determined. And so, like, I get all those things that people are fighting. They're fighting that little small voice saying, like, you know, nah, it's too hard, or, you know, you're not going to be able to do that, or no one's going to like your stuff, or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. But the ones that are doing it, it's like they just went for it. So
yeah,
that's my
and some of them are, they do it and they struggle and then they overcome and they keep going. So it's kind of what we're here for. So yeah, man. Any final words from you, Tim?
Put me on the spot.
Yeah.
No, I agree with everything you guys just said. You gotta keep going, chasing the goals, dreams. If you fall, you get back up.
Straight up.
I got a challenge for you guys by next time. Maybe this next month brainstorm a little intro thing that we can begin these things with, like in terms of like our introduction and just whatever, and then maybe an outro too, because there's some guys sign off and it's just like, I love it. Every time they sign off the same way.
Yeah.
We should have something like that, so it's not so just
like there's this one guy who if he's got subscribers and stuff, and he comes up with like a freestyle, you know what I mean? That it's not really freestyle, and he rhymes all of the names of them. I don't know if we're ready to do that, but we gotta find something that meets our personality. In the meantime, we'll just do whatever we can for now, and we'll find a song. You if nothing else, you guys pick one of those royalty-free songs, and I'll put yours at the beginning of the first one, John, you next, and I'll do the third one, you know what I mean, and until we come up with a legitimate thing.
Sounds good.
All right,
guys.
Can I sign off? Someone want to try to sign off? Good. Dwight.
Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Dwight.
I'm John.
And I'm Tim.
And we are the Creative Jam Sessions. Thanks. We'll be back again next month. And please, once again, do all that stuff in the comments below. Subscribe, click those buttons. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Peace.
See you.